Bitcoin stops the game. Is that the title?
No.
What is it?
I'm in charge of the titles.
I know you're charged.
We have distributed responsibilities here on the show.
It's very similar. Bitcoin is the answer.
You like that? But mine is more meta.
No, the answer is Allen Iverson. Okay, Bitcoin. You can't.
No, the answer is, if you need a number answer, the answer is 42, and if you need a word answer, it's always Bitcoin.
Is that your way of saying Bitcoin fixes this without saying it?
Bitcoin is the answer. Well, if you have a question for me, my answer is Bitcoin.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. Do you think the GameStop news is as massive as people make it out to be?
Yeah. I've always we've been talking about this since 2020. I've always been skeptical of the GameStop thing.
Yeah,
my friends are very much in it.
Is working. I'm watching the Nostr live chat with the Ride or Dies, rhr.tv/stream, to join them over there. You do not need a Nostr account to use it.
But you should probably get one.
So the GameStop thing is like a little bit bittersweet for me, because so to those that have been living under a rock, GameStop appears to be attempting to implement a strategy. So a strategy similar to the company formerly known as MicroStrategy. This headline's great. And they have, I believe, $4.5 billion in cash right now, under current leadership. And they just launched a convertible note to raise another $1.5 billion at 0% interest, payable back in 2030. Free money, why not? And it looks like they're going to stack Bitcoin with it. Now, why is this bittersweet for me? It's a little bit bittersweet because I feel like the GameStop Wall Street bettors are our people, right? I got excited while that was happening. I didn't participate. Then they got completely fucked by the suits where they turned off the buy button on Robinhood. And I guess the current leadership, I don't really follow it that much, but the current leadership under Ryan Cohen is he represents the Wall Street bettors, and there's still massive short interest on the stock. So them implementing a Bitcoin strategy seems like the right answer. Bitcoin is the answer. That being said, I do hope that at least some of the GameStop fanatics take this as a sign to actually go and buy actual Bitcoin and stack sats, because that's the true answer. The suits can still do shenanigans and bullshit on GameStop, even if GameStop is buying Bitcoin and having Coinbase hold its custody for them. So that's kind of how I think about it. The other piece is people are like, oh, this is, sailor number 2. It's really sailor number 15 or something. Yeah, GameStop has more cash than the other people doing this strategy. But Metaplanet was the best performing equity in the world last year, even better than MicroStrategy. So I don't know if it's that significant, and I do hope that the GameStop people go and buy actual Bitcoin. But it's definitely a point in the trend line, which is that every company, every organization, every individual will start to realize you got to stack sats or die trying.
Agreed. Yeah, it was, and I believe there is some interesting details with this particular convertible note. One of which is that they're raising it out, they're excluding American allocators, I believe. So it looks like they're going to tap into liquidity pools outside the U.S. that MicroStrategy has been leveraging. And another weird thing, I found with the announcement is I don't believe they're forced to announce that they're raising the convertible note. Why didn't they just raise it and then announce that they raised it, buy the Bitcoin?
I think they thought it was going to increase. Instead, it went down. But I think they thought it was going to pump the price of Bitcoin, pump the price of the stock and Bitcoin, right?
Yeah. And I believe I saw a Peruvian bull, friend of mine, friend of ours. I don't know, actually. I don't know if you've ever met Peruvian bull, but great dude. He's a big GameStop guy, and he
I
was
mean,
saying
I'm an
last,
internet friend. I've never met him in person.
yeah, the apparently the shorts increased significantly last night too. So it looks like the hedge funds are digging their
Yeah, I
heels
mean,
in.
that's retarded. If for some reason you're a fiat maxi hedge fund operator out there and you're listening to this, like, do not short Bitcoin, do not short Bitcoin derivatives like Game or Metaplanet or Strategy. Like, you're going to lose all your investors' money.
Yeah. So obviously 1.5 billion. I got 4.5 in cash, and I think the language in the PR was they're going to use it to reinvest in things and have a portion of it go into Bitcoin. So I think it's yet to be determined if all that cash will go to Bitcoin. I wouldn't be surprised if it does, considering how much cash they already have on the balance sheet. But yeah, I mean, this has been talked about for years now. As you mentioned, GameStop, whether it's the Wall Street Bets army or the management of the company, it's like you should be buying Bitcoin. And it seems to be happening. There's been a bunch of choreographing going on over the last couple of months. Ryan Cohen following Bitcoin Magazine and MicroStrategy, I believe, sort of signaling. And so we finally have the announcement.
Yeah, he took a picture with him too in Mar-a-Lago, I think. It very much feels like he's under the wing of Saylor. Like, I wouldn't think of this, and I don't think Saylor thinks of him as competition, right? I think Saylor kind of thinks of him as a protege. What would be fascinating is if we see an actual competitor to Strategy pop up there. Competitor both on the note side and on the equity side. And it would be interesting to see how Saylor reacts to that and how he responds, because he really has had no competition, period, since he began his strategy of strategy. But
It's so confusing.
I think there's a decent chance he'll see a real competitor. I think this space is going to start to heat up even more.
You think somebody else can get
watch out for
500,000
that.
Bitcoin?
I don't think you need to. It's not about the number of Bitcoin on the balance sheet. It's about an equity versus equity comparable and note versus note comparable. And right now he's basically the only fish in the pond, and doesn't have competition on those terms and those valuations. So I think someone could be at 50,000 Bitcoin or 100,000 Bitcoin or 150,000 Bitcoin, and actually have real size and meat behind their offering. Not this, or not Metaplanet, not Fold, and not the mining companies that are like not really focused on mining anymore, but something like that's actually like a competitive play against Saylor. I think we see that shortly.
No, to your point about Saylor taking Ryan Cohen under his wing and advising him, maybe that's why he's raising funds outside the U.S. I believe that. Yeah. I believe I caught that detail. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, freaks, which I have to open up.
BTC pins, Ride or Die Freak. Yes, I'm wearing a Madex bull pennant. You can find them at madex.art, one of the best Bitcoin artists in the space. Bought it from him personally in Jackson Hole for the Bitcoin Ski Summit.
I want to get one of those.
Been wearing it all the time now.
Madex.art. I got to go.
Madex.art, limited edition. All of his pendants are limited edition. I was going to say something else. I don't remember. Yeah, but this is... look, I don't know. The freaks that have been around for the last 23 days of Rabbit Hole Recap might recall that we got very excited when Tesla added Bitcoin to its balance sheet. And we were just completely wrong on the momentum of public companies stacking Bitcoin in a big way. I think we overshot that by years. But this time might be different. It feels like this time is different, and a trend has emerged. I will say that it does really feel like the shitcoin of this cycle, and I'm not like going to stand here and like be like a Debbie Downer or whatever. Like, irresponsibly long MSTR people can have their field day, have fun or whatever. But there are a lot of newcomers that instead of buying Bitcoin are buying these stocks. And probably not a good idea. We'll see how it plays out for him. But they obviously do not have the guarantees that Bitcoin does, which is that it doesn't require a trusted third party. And I still think that my original thesis at the beginning of this run, that we will see a level of degeneracy that we cannot really comprehend from the suits, will still play out. And when that happens and the dust clears, it should be interesting to see who's left holding the bag and who's left holding sats.
Yeah, and to your point about competition at the stock level and the note level with MicroStrategy, like I'm interested to see and observe the divergence between like a pure play Bitcoin treasury, which basically just says our sole intent and purpose is to accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible and weaponize the public markets, capital facilities to do that, and companies like Tesla, like Block, like Fold that have operating businesses, but they're also holding and accumulating Bitcoin on their balance sheet.
Yeah, I want to see like Apple. Apple has a shit ton of cash. I want to see like extremely profitable businesses stacking Bitcoin with profits. I think that's going to be a big switch from what we currently see, which is a lot of financial engineering to stack Bitcoin. It is something we see in private markets, right? Companies like Strike or Coinkite, like they're incredibly profitable, and then they take their profits and they stack Bitcoin with it, and hold that long term. But we haven't really seen that in public markets yet.
No. Yeah, it's a brave new world out there. Welcome to the game, GameStop. Bitcoin stops the game. That was going around.
Bitcoin is the answer.
Bitcoin is the answer. Allen Iverson is the answer, but we'll give it to Bitcoin.
By the way, I love your Skylar Strategic Reserve hat.
Like I was telling you, somebody gifted it to me this morning, and I was on another podcast, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna shill Bitcoin with the Strategic Reserve hat. It's beautiful.
He was telling me, I forget what they're called, those like leaves on the front, the gold leaves on the front. That design, it's incredibly hard to find hats with those on them. Like he buys that hat first and then adds the Strategic Reserve on top.
It's a beautiful hat. It's very comfy. Why does the SBR only have 3 stars out of 4? Interesting. I think it was symmetrical with. Is it
a 3-star general hat? Is this stolen valor?
I hope not. I'm sorry to any of the 3-star generals watching the show. I did not mean to steal valor. Just thought it was a cool hat. Okay. A lot going on in the world today. So GameStop, they're in. We'll see if other publicly. Oh, what I want to mention, like I think to your point about we thought it was going to happen sooner than it did. It seems to be materializing. Who knows whether or not that's in earnest. I think one of the forcing functions to do that is a company like Strive, which historically used their position as an asset manager to buy positions on companies and fight against negative ESG policies. Matt Cole, the CEO of Strive, has been out there beating the drum for many months now, signaling that their intent is to now apply what they did with ESG strategies to Bitcoin treasuries on publicly traded companies. So I think that type of activist investor entering the market could help push things forward as well. Next up on the list, there was a hearing for the Samourai wallet developers in their case with the Department of Justice earlier this week. Shout out to Frank Corva from Bitcoin Magazine, who has been staying on top of this case and showing up to the court hearings to keep.
Do you know Frank? Huge shout out to Frank. Do you know he has a White House press pass now?
Yeah, he does.
I feel like that's just crazy. I think he told us both at the same time, but I don't know. What a world we live in. Anyway, he did great reporting on Samourai. I interrupted you. I apologize.
Yeah, and essentially it was a hearing to lay out the schedule of the trial. So we'll have an opening motion on May 9th, June 6th. The prosecution's response to the opening motion will be heard. And then June 20th, replies to the prosecutor's response. July 15th, expert disclosure by the prosecution. July 16th, next in-person pretrial hearing. August 8th, this is all 2025, by the way, expert disclosure by the defense. And then November 3rd, the trial will officially begin. So you have all this pretrial motions and arguments being made between now and August 8th. And then as of right now, the trial is set to begin November 3rd.
Free Samourai. I'm cautiously optimistic that we will have a good outcome for this trial. We shall see. So Frank, who, by the way, just another shout out to Frank. I think he's one of the best journalists we have in the Bitcoin space right now, and I'm very grateful we have him. He spoke to Keone, one of the two. Yeah, Keon, one of the two Samourai developers, and he was very passionate and inspired by the funds that have been raised in the Legal Defense Fund. You can find that Legal Defense Fund at p2prights.org/donate. They still need a lot more money, but the amount that we've raised so far has been significantly meaningful for them. So consider donating. You can donate in Bitcoin or dollars, and you can donate anonymously or get a tax deduction.
Yeah. And Frank recently had Zach Shapiro from the Bitcoin Policy Institute on his podcast. A chunk of the majority of the conversation was about the state level strategic reserves and the initiative by BPI and Zach specifically to put forth a framework for states to acquire strategic reserve. But the last third of the episode, they talked about the Tornado Cash precedent that was just set, and everybody's very excited. I think it's overall net positive, but having listened to that conversation, it seems like the Tornado Cash devs aren't out of the woods exactly yet, but moving in the right direction.
Yeah, they have not dismissed the Tornado Cash cases yet. But they have been removed from the sanction list, which is a big win.
I didn't notice you had it on the list. But yeah, did
That's
you watch
the next
that?
item, right?
Yeah, did you listen to that conversation at all?
No, but I talk to Zach all the time. I had him on Dispatch a couple months ago, maybe January.
Yeah.
Zach's great too. We're lucky to have him at Bitcoin Policy Institute, and he's been leading P2P Rights Fund.
Yeah. So not out of the woods yet. It seems like things are moving in a positive direction, and I think getting off the sanction list is a good sign.
We're by far not out of the woods yet. Yeah. But I think I said it last week. Look, the way I look at it is like about 10 years ago, the walls started closing in from a government regulation point of view in terms of private and freedom-focused usage of Bitcoin. And they've been trending in the wrong direction for that entire time. So the first time in a decade, we're trending in the right direction. Let's not, counter eggs before they hatch here, but I think it's very positive.
Yeah. Cautiously optimistic. We'll be keeping you all abreast of both the Tornado Cash and the Samourai cases as they continue to progress. And again, another shout out to Frank Corva for doing on the ground reporting and staying on top of this when many people are overlooking it.
And shout out to Keon and Bill.
Yeah.
As they fight this case.
And Roman and the other Tornado Cash dev.
Roman's the only one in the U.S., right?
Yeah, I believe so.
And the other one's in the Netherlands?
Netherlands, yeah.
Yeah, the Netherlands is fucked. I honestly, I think also for the first time in our lifetimes, there's a non-zero chance we repeal the Bank Secrecy Act.
Why do you say that?
It'd be fucking awesome.
I'd love to hear this.
Because the trend is in the right direction, man.
Yeah.
We got to seize the moment.
It's actually the conversation I just had I was on the Mike and Coffee podcast with Mel Madison, who's been on TFTC a few times, most recently last week, but we got on just like going back to like Bitcoin fixes this, Bitcoin is the answer. And we got to like I don't want to say philosophical, but like just talking about like humanity throughout time has ebbed and flowed between like totalitarianism and freedom, and discussed it on this show. Like it does feel like we are at the trough of totalitarianism and have the potential to begin our upswing towards more freedom-oriented structures. in society. And at some point, eventually in the future, the weak men living in good times, will forget to preserve the rights and the liberties.
Are you calling peak clown world?
No. I said the potential that we may be troughing exist.
You're learning. You're covering your ass this time. I think it still gets. I think it still gets a lot worse before it gets better.
Come on, man.
But in specific Bitcoin policy stuff, we're on the offensive right now, and we're doing well. I mean, a perfect example is, at least in financial privacy world, is, did you see the Trump administration Treasury is like tracking payments in Texas and Arizona, and they're saying it's to stop illegal immigrants. It's like,
yeah, they're
lowered the
debanking
limit.
people. They lowered the limit to like $200, isn't it?
Yeah. So like all your transactions now as a Texan are going through extra scrutiny.
It's only in certain counties down by the border, I believe.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But that's a trend to watch, you know, to be wary of. And as much as I think that the Tesla vandals should be prosecuted and put behind bars per their crimes, having the president of the United States threaten to send them to El Salvador gulags is a
Did he do that?
questionable overstep. Yeah, he sent it on Truth Social. Yeah, he had a truth about it.
Just put him in. The high security prisons here in the U.S. are bad enough, I think. Put him in there. Next up, staying in.
We have Hodler of Last Resort. Zap does 21,000 sats. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you. Staying on the political tip, the FAIR Act would protect Bitcoin hodlers from civil asset forfeiture, which may apply to Bitcoin. I was not aware of this, but
this is massive, and Lummis has endorsed it.
Hell yeah. So
this was written by Lola, who is also one of our best journalists in the space.
Lola Leeds.
And yeah, civil asset forfeiture is one of the most fucked up policies that the U.S. government uses against American citizens. It's obviously highly relevant to Bitcoiners. This is when the government accuses you of crime and takes your money. And even if you are found innocent, a lot of times they will not give you back your money, but they take it first before you even go through any kind of trial or proceedings or anything.
Yeah, so Lola writes, with the FAIR Act, enforcing agencies have to establish that there was a substantial connection between the property and the offense, as well as that the owner of any interest in the seized property used the property with the intent to facilitate the offense, or knowingly consented or was willfully blind to the use of the property by another in connection with the offense. This forms the most important aspect of the act as it applies to Bitcoin at the moment. The government could seize a person's legally acquired Bitcoin if the UTXO itself had, for example, previously been used in sanctions evasion or touched a darknet market, regardless of whether its owner was aware of the coin's history when obtaining it. By introducing active consent and willful blindness, the FAIR Act prerequisites that the owner of Bitcoin to be forfeited was aware that he acquired Bitcoin's origin for forfeiture to apply. And Bitcoin Magazine fix your ad insertions on the website. They make it so the page jumps around.
It's horrible.
Yeah. Where are they selling us right now? Crypto mining. Hash crypto mining. What is it and how does it work?
You know, it's like they like outsource it, right? They're just algorithmically at it.
It's Google.
It's like how YouTube does it.
Yeah.
So, always scammy shit.
FAIR Act. Let's see where it is in the process right now. I don't know if that's covered here. The FAIR Act of 2023 was reintroduced in 2024 by Senator Lummis and others. So I guess it's got to make its way through. So if you care, tell your local representative and senator to vote yes for the FAIR Act. Engage. Re-engaging the list. Next up, we have. Should we talk about? You didn't put it You didn't edit your message. You want to talk about Electrum?
I did edit it. You just haven't gotten to it yet.
Oh, read more.
You're just
Oh,
jumping the gun.
The list is 5 times longer than I expected. I didn't hit read more.
Yeah, I hadn't made a list in a while, and last week we didn't talk about Bitcoin, so I made the list quite comprehensive.
All right. Before getting to Electrum,
we can speed through these. Yeah, we can speed through these. OpenSats, we've just been shipping. The grind is real. So we announced our 10th wave of Bitcoin grants. We announced our 10th wave of Nostr grants. And we announced our first wave of foundation grants. Foundation grants being other foundations that have been launched to support open source contributors. Despite the conspiracy theories, OpenSats board members would love to see as many other organizations exist as possible, focused on a similar mission that distributes the risk across the board and helps eliminate central points of failure. Obviously, when it comes to nonprofits, it's impossible for a nonprofit to be fully decentralized, but we can make mitigations. And part of those mitigations are OpenSats board structure, where despite the conspiracy theories, I do not have unilateral control over approvals or denials, and also supporting other foundations that are getting bootstrapped, partially because of inspiration of OpenSats. And they're doing it each in their own unique ways. So we're pretty excited about that.
Hell yeah. So 10th wave of grants have gone out for the Bitcoin grants and Nostr grants. And the foundation grants. So we covered all of that. Next we have demand pool, which has opened applications to miners for Stratum V2 mining pool. Demand made a splash last year when Alejandro announced that he was going to go build this company. It seems like now Demand is looking to be the first Stratum V2 Bitcoin mining pool. And it's now, as the headline mentioned, accepting applications from miners to join as launch partners. So successful applicants will enjoy a 0% pool fee for the first 2 months and a special 2-year founding miner agreement. Demand also announced its venture capital financing Q4, led by Trammell Venture Partners, TVP. So really happy to see this out there. Stratum V2 is really important to increase the security of an individual mining operation. The data being transmitted historically has been plain text. Stratum V2 encrypts that, so you eliminate or you at least make it significantly harder to do man-in-the-middle hash rate jacking attacks. And then on top of that, obviously, Stratum V2 is looking to help make it so individual miners can construct their own blocks to help distribute the block creation process and decentralize that further.
So this is same, but different from what Ocean has been offering the market for a bit now. Ocean is not using Stratum V2. They're using something called Datum that they created and open sourced, but it attempts to solve a lot of the same problems as Stratum V2. It's great to see both of them out and on the market, and hopefully we will see them each accumulate more hash rate over time. At least on the Ocean side, the trend seems to be their friend right now. They've been making gains, small but significant gains, slowly and steadily. The grind is real. Bootstrapping a new pool is probably one of the harder things you can do in Bitcoin, and they've been grinding it out.
Pools are hard businesses. It's a race to the bottom.
Yeah. We have Bitcoin in Space 2 zapped us 21,000 sats, asking how can a humble sat stacker contribute efforts to the overthrow of the completely unconstitutional Bank Secrecy Act. It is indeed unconstitutional. Many things are in this country, unfortunately. The Constitution does help us, but it is not perfect. You can donate. You can donate to Bitcoin Policy Institute, btcpolicy.org, or you can donate to the P2P Rights Fund, p2prights.org, which is underneath Bitcoin Policy Institute. And while I'm seeking out donations, opensats.org, we'd love your support. It's a constant grind out there across all three.
So you're saying you get donations, you're going to fight for the abolishment of the Bank Secrecy Act?
OpenSats will just make it obsolete through tools. BTC policy is focused on being on the ground. If you remember last week or the week before, I think it was the week before that, BTC policy is trying to put a Bitcoiner in every congressional office.
Mm-hmm.
Here, have a Bitcoiner. We've selected them and trained them, and this Bitcoiner is yours now.
And look, he's pretty handsome
so
too.
they're doing really good work on that front.
Yeah. One thing I can tell you, one thing not to do: don't storm the Capitol. Okay, we don't want that attention. That's not how we're going to end the Bank Secrecy Act. I think you send an email, pick up the phone, call your representative, say, "Hey, the BSA is pretty unconstitutional."
I will say money. I think, for better or for worse, money probably does more than the email. But if you want to send an email, send an email.
Hey, send that email. Send that email. Every little bit helps. Some people may not be able to donate. They have the power of the pen.
Yeah. Power of the pen. Emails help. Also, talking to companies. All these organizations, we really don't have that much corporate support. We could use more corporate support. So encouraging your favorite businesses to donate a portion of their revenue or profits to any of these nonprofits is admirable and appreciated. Particularly recurring donations are very helpful.
Yeah. Consider it, freaks. Consider it.
And they're all tax deductible too, so you get to pay Uncle Sam less. And Mab21 appears to have jumped in the chat, sent us 21,000 sats, and said he's going to watch later. Appreciate you, Mav.
Thanks, Mav. Back to the list, staying on the mining topic, Braiins BCB100 Bitcoin control boards have been open source. This is great to see. One of the centralizing parts of the Bitcoin mining industry is the hardware, which historically has been on lockdown, black box from Bitmain and MicroBT even. Excuse me. Braiins, I know, has been working on this miner and these chips for some time, so it's cool to see them launch it and then quickly open source the control board, at least, which is important if you're looking to fine-tune a fleet of miners for your particular mining operation. Not every mining operation is the same, demands different things from the machines themselves. A miner who is doing demand response versus a miner who is doing off-grid natural gas mining need their operations to work differently. And so part of being able to do that easily means that the control board, being able to access the control board and fine-tune your miner to your specific needs is important.
Nice. Shout out Braiins.
Braiins. Haven't said that in a while. All right, finally, now to Electrum. This was cool. Shout out to me. I added this to the list. Matt didn't have it because the announcement was made on X.
You're the most humble person on this podcast.
I saw this morning. This is really cool. Electrum version 4.6 will have, so it hasn't been launched yet, will have built-in Nostr support. And they just published their own AIO Nostr library for that. And Ben the Carmen hopped in their mentions and asked, what does Nostr support mean for Electrum? And they responded, Nostr will be used to replace previously centralized services. For example, our submarine swap service will be decentralized, allowing any user to become a liquidity provider, and their partially signed Bitcoin transaction co-signing plugin has been rewritten to use Nostr instead of a central server, and they responded to that. They also have a Nostr Wallet Connect plugin that is under development. So really cool to see.
Badass. Fucking love to see it.
For any who are unaware, Electrum is one of the longest running wallet projects in the space. So the fact that they're leaning into this is highly encouraging.
Yeah, true OGs exist. It was like basically the only thing you could use for easy multi-sig before Sparrow existed.
Yeah. And it's cool to see how they're implementing Nostr. It makes sense. We've been talking about this for years now, but Nostr, many people know it as a competing social media protocol to the X's and Instagrams and Facebooks of the world, which it is to an extent, but it is not only that. That is only one application that can be built on top of this open communications protocol. And so we've talked a lot about using this messaging protocol to do Bitcoin things. And so partially signed Bitcoin transactions decentralizing, distributing that is a good use case.
What I would love to see here is, and by the way, like, so Electrum is doing things that previously required a centralized server. Sparrow, on the other hand, Craig Raw refuses to run any servers. And that limits what he can offer in Sparrow, right? But using something like this opens the door to him offering features that don't require him actually running a server, because he doesn't want the liability of running a server. Now, what I would love to see here is some kind of open multi-sig PSBT spec emerge, where you could have Electrum and be holding one of RHR's keys. I could have Sparrow and hold one of RHR's keys. And within the interface, we could do what you see happen on an Unchained or a Nunchuck or a Casa, right? Where we don't have to send the PSBT separately, like in Signal or something. You just like press sign, then you like press notify Marty, and then Marty gets like a little pop-up on his side. He presses sign, and then it just broadcasts the transaction out because we have 2 of 3 signatures. Like, that would be fucking massive. And Nostr seems perfect for that.
Yeah, and it would, like, these, whether it's Sparrow, Caravan, Trident, Electrum, just removing
all of them. Imagine if they all supported it.
Yeah.
That'd be fucking badass.
It really would be. And I don't think you have it on the list. I want to bring it up, but like,
dude, I have like 30 things on the list, and you have a hard stop, and you're just adding things to the list. What do you have for us? Shout out you.
Did you see what Austin from Voltage released?
No. Did he release on X?
I bet he did it on Nostr too. But FROSTR 2 of 3 multi-sig for.
Oh, he must have launched that on Nostr, but no, I did not see it.
Yeah.
Did he release a functioning implementation? Is that what happened?
Let me see.
Oh, Austin's in the YouTube chat right now. I see Pleb Devs. FROSTR is working on this right now, unless it's just Logan signing in with a different account commenting. But Logan would probably use the Nostr account.
They've signed releases for Igloo, which is FROSTR Key Set Manager and Signer for desktop app, and FROSTR 2x or Frost 2x, FROSTR Signer extension for the browser extension. Secure and minimal setup for operating 2 of 3 multisig for your NSEC. I believe he has some
badass.
Be extremely cautious and give us any feedback. So if you want to
don't use this in production yet.
Yeah,
but
spin
this
up
is the
ephemeral
future.
keys and test it out.
I have a great blog on this and other dynamics in terms of account security, comparing X, Facebook, the status quo versus what we could see in Nostr.
Yeah.
And huge shout out to Austin and the gents and ladies over at Pleb Devs.
Hell yeah.
You guys are crushing it.
He's right down the hall working right now. Shout out to you, Austin. We break to bring you. It's not really a break, but it's the Human Rights Foundation Story of the Week section of the show. This week from Turkey, where the Lira is in free fall as Erdogan arrests his political rival. I'm not sure if you've seen some of the videos coming out of Turkey. It's pretty insane over there right now. Turkey's Lira plunged to a record low after officials arrested Istanbul Mayor Ekrem İmamoğlu. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan's main political rival. Imamoglu's arrest comes ahead of primary elections and follows the increasing of opposition figures in recent months, including the suspension of political opposition accounts on X. Officials also arrested Bergra Kogice, head of the Istanbul Planning Agency, for publishing data exposing the country's deepening poverty. The currency's fallout and political repression has sparked protests in Istanbul despite a 4-day ban. The regime is responding with tear gas and rubber bullets. Meanwhile, Turks disseminating online dissenting online risk joining over a dozen other citizens recently arrested for provocative social media posts. NetBlocks reports that the Turkish regime imposed restrictions on social media messaging to quell the uprising of Turks struggling with financial conditions and deepening repression. To hear more stories like this and others every week, go sign up for the Human Rights Foundation Financial Freedom Report at financialfreedomreport.org. And the story out of Turkey is something that we've talked about quite a bit over the years on this show, which is when the economy goes bad and inflation gets bad, they're going to start to censor. It's going to be illegal to highlight the fact that the economy is struggling due to the government and central banks' mismanagement of the currency.
Yeah, I mean, it's disappointing to see Elon be complicit with Turkish censorship. But obviously, you have go on.
To be fair, I don't know if Elon says currencies fall out in political recession have sparked. The regime is responding with tear gas and rubber bullets. What did I say?
There's been large X accounts that have been censored.
Suspension. Yeah, there was a point in here where they said, they've been deplatformed.
There was an independent news account with 350,000 followers that was taken down.
Okay, yeah, that's on X. But the Turkish regime is imposing restrictions on social media. I guess they're trying to do that on the network side of things as well.
Yeah, net blocks.
Yeah.
At the ISP level. And Elon doesn't want X to get blocked. Turkey is a massive economy, and he also wants to be able to sell Teslas and Starlinks there. So you got to just follow the money and follow the incentives. This is the problem with centralized control. But yeah, I mean, Bitcoin and Nostr is the answer here, and people can take control into their own hands, which is beautiful.
Yeah. Good old Nostr freaks. Next up, we have one boost that we have to read. Let me find. I'll just go on desktop here. Let me find it real quick. I know we have at least one boost. 23 days later. Rabbit hole recap 349. 23 days. Marching towards 24. Fountain loading. Logan, did you pull it up? Let's see if this is faster. It is. 2 boosts to read. 3 boosts to read. 4 boosts to read. We have 4 boosts. First one's from Full-Time Bitcoin at fountain.fm. 88,888 sats, 8s across the board. Palindrome boost. The Chinese will like this boost. Marty Bent, the palindrome freak. Block height, 888,888. Bitcoin's latest peak. Marty Jones, our tinfoil thoughts align. But why do mirror digits blow your mind? Thought I'd celebrate with a boost and ask a simple question. Is this even a free country? Surely the clown world is descending. RHR every week. I've never missed one. From adult to an adult, it's been a hell of a run. And when sausage, Odell. No word back. 1031 tribe, proud part of the pack. I think we're going to win, just like hashtag free Ross. We got a good thing going, like Owls Lacrosse. Resident Tesla shill never bothered me, but you can also call me a freak dirtbag pleb or just FTB. Damn, that was some prose there, sir.
That was actually quite good. Well done, sir. It was good reading. It was one of your best.
There was a lot of great.
FTB is really ride or die. True ride or die. I actually had a brat right before before this show.
A brat? It's a brat.
Oh, whatever. Bratwurst.
Bratwurst. When sausage. The Carlos gets the when sausage episode yet. That's what.
He probably hasn't because he's in 2020s, right? Early 2020. When did it happen? Like late 2020?
Yeah, because you were
COVID. I was at my parents'.
Yeah. When sausage. Carlos, let us know when you get to that classic RHR episode. Shout out to you, FTB. Love you, brother. Stimmy, 23,000 sats.
It's a bratwurst.
Bratwurst, yes. Gentlemen, I appreciate you.
You pronounced the Istanbul.
I'd like to see you try that.
Mayor, fantastic.
Bratwurst is way more
Well, usually I just call them sausages, but I didn't want to say it again.
Yeah.
So self-conscious.
You spelled FTB, to be clear, you spelled Wen wrong. Wen was spelled WEN, if I recall correctly. Wen sausage.
Correct. And it was actually spelt by my mother, which is the key part of the joke.
Wen sausage. It was on a sticky note, right?
Yeah, because we were ripping and she wanted to feed me.
Wen. That's a good mom right there.
What a timeline we live in.
Speaking of timelines, moving on.
Pseudo Carlos. Carlos says he already got to Wen sausage.
Was it as funny as we remember?
You had to be there.
You did have to be there.
Okay, sorry. Keep reading the boost. You have a time constraint here, don't you? When do we have to end?
Like 27 minutes. We got plenty of time. Gentlemen, Stimmy.
27 minutes. Let's go.
Stimmy, 23,000 sats. Gentlemen, I appreciate you doing this for 23 days. That's a lot of valuable news, commentary, and funny moments. Shout out to you and your families. Thank you, Stimmy. Shout out to you. BTC NIM, 21,420 sats. A few weeks ago, it was me who sparked the business on air discussion for the base limit of 21,000 sats for the on air read. Thank you for agreeing with me. I plan on listing finance advisor to RHR on my resume going forward. I will if you need a referral.
We'll write a letter of recommendation.
Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah. We'll back you as a financial advisor.
It would have been hilarious if he convinced us to raise the limit and then just was like, nah, it's too rich for my blood.
Well, here we go. I heard freaks were pushing back on the 21,000 sat limit. Well, I have more great ideas. How about a partnership with Klarna for Boost? Boost now, pay later. At BTC NIM. That's a great idea.
That's a great idea.
That's a great idea. Klarna, Boost now, pay later. Is it sats denominated debt? I guess that's what we're going to have to figure out.
Yeah, 100% it's sats denominated.
Yeah. You better pay those back quick.
5 easy payments of 4,000 sats each.
4,200 sats each.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. BTC NIM is handling the finance side of the equation.
Yeah, 4,200. That's like 420, dude. Oh, he double boosted that. Same exact message. So shout out to you, BTC NIM.
Nice.
Repeat what I just said. 21,420 sats.
On the pod release, I'll just loop that, stick it in again.
Do it. That would be funny. Thank you guys for the shout outs. Thank you guys for joining us in the Zap.stream live stream and zapping us. No zaps during the boost. A lot of conversation about Wen sausage.
I see BTC Bandit bringing up the gold jewelry company Odell mentioned is pretty legit. That's Mene, M-E-N-E. Highly recommend. You're going to buy your lady some jewelry. Might as well make it 24 karat gold. And then you can track her portfolio.
We covered the Klarna stuff because we recorded.
Yes, Friday we did. Morning. We talked about it last week.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't remember? We were talking about it at length. It was just constant.
Yeah. I had recorded.
You got really mad. You think people should take out loans on their Bitcoin at 15%, but they shouldn't take out loans on their burritos at 0%?
Because it turns into 100% if you don't pay it back in time.
And remember, I saw, you got to pay back your loan. I solved the arbitrage opportunity of you can buy, I didn't confirm, but maybe you can buy canned goods and then you store the canned goods as an investment.
Yeah.
Shelf-stable stuff.
Could be a good idea. Could be
0%. Then you can bring it to the farmer's market and sell Campbell's chicken noodle soup or something.
Yeah, they're like canned stable coins. Like you just get that, you keep it in the stable coin that is the can. Then eventually you double stack, right? You sell the can to buy more Bitcoin.
It is pretty ridiculous that the internet decided to make it like it was only about burritos.
Yeah, burritos got the short end of the stick on that. I think it was just easy.
I know, right? It felt like very anti-burrito. ideology kind of surfaced. Burrito is a good food.
Burritos are great food. It's one of the best food receptacles. It's a great way to deliver nutrition to the body.
Yeah. I mean, I just like people that want to save money just shouldn't use DoorDash. Like, you should just make your own food. Ideally, have leftovers.
Yeah, we're rehashing the
Pick up
conversation.
food.
Now it's all flooding back to me. Go buy a bag of rice and some chicken.
But you started this. You started this.
I
Okay.
did.
Anyway.
I did. It's on me. Hand up. Moving on to the software section update of the show. Cashew Dev Kit version 0.8.1 has been released, as we mentioned last week. Our boy Callie and the open source contributors to the Cashew protocol have been on fire recently. So this is an update to the development kit.
They're crushing it.
Yeah.
I fucking love Cashew.
Dude, looks like Ben the Carman's contributing. He's got a PR that got fixed.
He's all over the place.
There we go, Ben.
Well, him and Paul are still working on Harbor, even though Mutiny pivoted to Open Secret.
Yeah. Shout out to David Casaria.
And I think now it has more of a Cashew focus than a Fedimint focus.
Yeah. Shout out to everybody contributing to Cashew. Very bullish on that protocol, that project. Nunchuck version, desktop version 1.9.44 has been released. Bug fixes and improvements. Neutrino version 0.16.1 has been released as well. Crux version 25.03.0 has been released with Taproot and WSH miniscript support. WSH wrapped SegWit. WSH. Not going to find it. We talked about this before we hit record. I'm not going to dive into.
Well, you got to find out now. Just do Control F WSH.
I'm down. Taproot and WSH miniscript support added and indented visualization of miniscripts. Cosigner verification. What does the SH stand for?
I saw Rob in the chat earlier. Maybe he could tell us. Rob, what does WSH stand for?
Wicked sick hashes.
Really?
No.
God, look at fucking fake news, man.
Come on, man. I'm gonna believe that.
Be better.
I'm gonna be
Okay.
I'm gonna be in front of like an investor and be like, yeah, we got wicked sick hashes in Crux version 25.03.
Talking to a core dev, like, what are your thoughts on wicked sick hashes?
Yeah, my experience with core devs and trying to sound smart is not great. I can't have you. I've told this story. I've once pointed at a time clock and told Peter Todd it's very, very prescient that we're sitting in front of the national debt clock. I can't have stuff like this anymore. My reputation, Logan.
And he's like, nope, that's the time.
You know I'm Ron Burgundy. You say something, I'm going to believe you. I kid. Crux now has wicked sick hashes. Go update. Nuthash Wallet version 2.0.4 has been released. Don't be reckless, they're saying. This app is in early development and most likely buggy. It does handle real sats, though, so be sure to only use amounts that are small enough to lose. It's multi-platform.
I recently discovered a dope iOS Cashew wallet called Macadamia. Have you tried it yet, Marty?
I have not.
I know the nut names are great. But yeah, Macadamia, if you have an iPhone. Great Cashew wallet. Very clean, great UX.
Underrated Cashew wallet and underrated nut, to be honest. I like the plain, dry nature of the macadamia nut.
Is it actually a nut or is it like a tomato's a fruit? Is the macadamia nut actually a nut?
It may be a legume. Let's see.
I feel like it's not a nut. Oh, by the way, WSH stands for Witness Script Hash. Close.
Witness script hash.
But are macadamias nuts?
It is a nut. Macadamia.
Nice.
Other names include macadamia is genus of 4 species of trees in the flowering plant family Proteaceae. They're indigenous to Australia, native to South Wales, and central and southeastern Queensland specifically. 2 species of the genus are commercially important for their fruit, the macadamia nut, or simply macadamia. Global production in 2015 was 160,000 tons. Other names include the Queensland nut, bush nut, marucci nut, balpal nut.
Okay, got it. It's a fucking nut, and it's a great wallet. I actually like macadamia nuts. I think they taste pretty good. And it's a great wallet. I see Diana in the comments asking if most people understand what Cashew is. From a developer, I'll just give my quick rundown. From a developer perspective, it's a open protocol for custodial Bitcoin wallets or Bitcoin banks. From a user perspective, what you can see in practice is a very easy to use Bitcoin wallet that is incredibly private, that is incredibly cheap, that you can use in programmatical ways, and you can use it offline. You can make offline payments with it. What's really cool is you can have, for instance, I can tap to pay. They're working on this right now, but like I could tap to pay Marty's phone, and we can both be offline, and it could be locked to his NPub on Nostr, and no one can spend it besides him, and he knows that I didn't double spend him.
Yeah.
Pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, it's really cool, and many people hate on Cashew or eCash mints generally due to the fact that they're, this trade-off. You get privacy.
They're custodial.
They're custodial. But people often conflate that custodial nature with the fact that it's centralized, and that each individual mint is centralized in the sense that somebody has to operate it. However, the project is permissionless, and anybody can spin one of these up. So it's not like you need to go get a license to spin up a
and Marty could be using one mint, and I could be using a different mint, and we can pay each other using Lightning.
It's interoperable.
So if you have a Cashew wallet, so like, in practice, let's say you install macadamia. It's like academia. Macadamia. The first thing it's going to ask you is which mint you want to join. So which custodian do you want to join? And anyone can run a mint. I really like the mini bits mint, but do your own research. You may get rugged, whichever mint you choose. So then you choose the mint you want. And then at that point, you're just loading it up with Bitcoin using a Lightning invoice. So you can just pay it from any Lightning wallet. And then going forward, you can either pay someone native eCash or you can pay any Lightning invoice. So it just works like a regular Lightning wallet.
Yeah.
Super cheap, very private, use offline. Doesn't require a soft fork. It's beautiful. And it's the first time in Bitcoin where the cheapest option is also the most private. The cheapest, easy to use option is also the most private, which is a great incentive.
Yeah, it's like you can basically store units of eCash tokens in files. And so like when you're doing tap to pay offline, that's what's happening. You're transferring a file. That file could remain on the person who sent it, and they could try to spend that again, but you're basically engaged in this trust engagement.
Now BTC Pins is telling us that cashews aren't nuts. Are cashews nuts? I know they grow on top of a cashew fruit. Did you know there's a cashew fruit?
Yeah, I had a picture.
And if you don't cook the cashew fruit, it's poisonous. Yeah.
Did not know
Isn't that crazy that they need to grow that fruit and then they basically throw out the fruit just to take the nut off? That's why cashews are so expensive.
Cashew is a common name of a tropical evergreen tree, Anacardium occidentale, in the family Anacardiaceae. Is native to South America and is a source of the cashew nut and the cashew apple, a necessary fruit. I think it's a nut. It's a nut.
Nice.
They're
good nuts.
You're off with this.
Look, this one was fucking Pins. Pins did this to me. But go to btcpins.com. He's got great swag over there.
Great pins.
Great merchandise. But he sells other things besides pins. But the pins are great. But yeah, he threw me off.
He's got an OnlyFans?
Just to follow up here. Does he?
I'm kidding. I'm getting off the
rails. Whenever you can pay with Klarna, it is OnlyFans. Just to follow up here on the last bit with Cashew and eCash. Diana is asking a follow-up question. Cashew can be used with any currency. eCash can be used with any currency, but we were working with Bitcoin. Yeah, like you get the original implementation of eCash was using dollars in bank accounts, but obviously banks and regulators weren't cool with that. So the beauty here is that it's really easy to launch a mint because anyone can hold Bitcoin. You don't have to be like a bank and holding dollars. But yeah, technically you could use it with any currency. I'm surprised like shitcoiners haven't started using it more because you can just have like if like Fortnite, for instance, like Fortnite could use the Cashew protocol to issue V-Bucks, like Fortnite's token, instead of running their own server implementation. And then it could be cross-compatible with Bitcoin. Users could do swaps and stuff.
Yeah, so, I read about this, and we've talked about it before, but I truly believe that Hal Finney's vision of a free banking system developing on top of Bitcoin is coming to fruition via these mints. That's an example. You can have the bank of Fortnite issuing V-Bucks, and as an end customer, your goals are going to be a competition for these mints, a competition for these private banks, and the market will be competitive, and different banks will offer different services for different type of clients, and you'll have to basically discern who you trust and who you don't. So there is trust introduced. And does that mean Bitcoin has failed? I don't think so. As long as you have the ability to use Bitcoin on chain, or if you're using a second layer, if you have the ability to exit unilaterally, I think that preserves the distributed nature of Bitcoin and the trust trade-off that
it's about user options. It's giving users options. BTC Pins is calling you out here. He says cashews are not technically nuts, but are classified as drupe seeds. They grow inside a kidney-shaped fruit known as a drupe, which is part of the cashew tree's fruit structure.
Yeah, we just talked like macadamia comes from fruit too. Like I don't know what your thing is. BTC Pins. I'm reading Wikipedia, which is the authority
it doesn't matter.
on all the information in the world.
Check out Cashew. There's also a wallet maintained by Callie called cashew.me, cashu.me, which just runs in a browser on any phone or computer.
I'm going to ask Google, are cashews nuts?
Now we got Rad Vladdy coming in here with cashew as a seed. This is the controversy of our time.
Yeah, they're classified as nuts usually.
Marty, you got 10 minutes left to your hard stop. Let's continue on the list.
Ditto version 1.3 has been released. If you're interested in Ditto,
Ditto's awesome.
Nostr, shout out to Alex Gleason.
Oh yeah, I was going to say that. Alex Gleason's great. Alex is the man behind Truth Social, and now he's a Nostr dev. Did you know, Marty, that on Ditto it shows your streak of how many days in a row you posted on Nostr? And I'm currently, I don't even know if this is something I should be proud of, but 167 days in a row I posted on Nostr.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see where Marty's at. I don't know how to find Marty.
Good.
Do you even exist on Nostr? What are you, Marty at primal.net?
Yeah.
What's your streak? Like 1 day? 3 days.
3 days.
Did you gotta catch up?
I've been doing a social media detox,
That's good. I support you. I don't think that's the case if I check your X account, but I support you.
You can't be online. You can't be online like every hour of every day. My wife I can hear my wife yelling at me right now.
Every time you post on X, just say hi to us.
X is down at the moment. X is down at the moment right now.
Is it really?
Yeah, are you on Nostr? I'm seeing this on Nostr.
No, dude, I'm on the show. Like, why you just sit there on your computer like browsing? It's so much disrespect to me and the freaks.
It's called multitasking, okay?
It's like just you're talking about social media addiction and you can't help yourself while we're on fucking air.
Well, I was making sure I was posting while you were checking my streak to increase it by 1 day,
There you go.
A very eloquent post I just posted too.
Yeah, I'm going to have to break my Nostr streak. I should just take a week off.
Ditto. Back to Ditto. We got derailed there. Ditto 1.3 is all about discovery, from approved search and event fetching to a brand new Explore tab. This release makes it easier than ever to find people, posts, and conversations around the Nostr network. We've also rolled out streaks, media improvements, translation upgrades, and key admin tools. So
streaks, there you go. We didn't get derailed.
Damus version 1.13.1 has been released. Not seeing anything in the notes.
It's a bug fix release, but JB is working on some really cool shit.
Nostr Zap version 1.3.0 has been released. They introduced data and address property as alternative to data note ID, if you're interested in that.
That's because this new format gives you relay hints, so you know, based on it, you know which relays to check.
Hell yeah. That's it for the software
moved
updates.
Over from that on Primal. That's why Primal isn't using node IDs anymore.
Nice.
And also, npubs don't have relay hints, but nprofiles format does. So we're going to move over to that too.
Yeah. That's it for software updates. We will link to all these in the show notes if you want to go check them out individually. As always, user beware. Some of this is experimental. Make sure you're aware of that before you go test it out. Back to headlines.
Just send all your money to them and press go.
Press delete wallet.
Press go.
Tether's in talks with a Big Four accounting firm to conduct a full audit. This is coming from Reuters. Tether, the creator of the world's largest stablecoin, is engaging with a Big Four accounting firm as it pushes.
Yeah, I mean, this is part of their move to really cement their place as the dominant private bank digital currency. We've been talking about this as a trend to watch for the last few months now. They're really seizing the moment of this new administration. A lot of people gave them shit about not having a Big Four audit for years, but the Big Four would not allow them to do one. It was too risky for them. People don't realize like the Big Four is like a inside club where they don't like taking extra risk for their business, particularly after things like Enron blew the fuck up. So this will be a big step. This is something we've heard quietly behind the scenes for a while, so I do expect it to happen. It's just finally public on Reuters. Marty, as someone who writes blog posts all the time, I don't know how you deal with some of these internet people. Like I've just barely dipped my toe into writing blog posts. And I thought I like wrote a relatively nuanced critique of Tether and the current situation. And like half the responses are just people taking like a single line out of context and then just straw manning it.
You should know this by now. Okay, you just got to ignore all the haters.
Ignore all the haters. Okay, ignored.
People don't read the attention span. I tried to keep the bent. I didn't do this successfully yesterday. It's 2,000 words, but I try to keep it below 1,000.
So is the bent the Bitcoin brief now? Am I correct?
The Bitcoin brief is the net
has the
letter.
Bent in it.
The bent is part of the Bitcoin brief. We're trying.
It's like a section in the brief now, right?
Yeah, we're trying to attract.
So the brief,
newbies.
the brief is written by a subordinate, and then the bent portion is you.
Yes. The
Nice.
subordinate is artificial intelligence. That
it's not a person.
It's not a. Well, it is Ed. Shout out to Ed on our team who puts it together. But yeah, it's repurposing some of the podcast content, taking a section out and distilling it, giving an AI summary with some headlines too. The headlines are manually inserted. Tether. This makes sense. Are they only talking to one Big Four firm? I feel like they should pit them against each other. Try to get the lowest cost possible.
And knowing Paolo and Giancarlo, they probably are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Shout out Bitfinex, who sold all his Bitcoin at $800, saying that Tether was going to blow up and take Bitcoin down with it.
Hey, it could still happen
Right.
any day now. Any day now.
At least he can use Klarna for his burritos.
Suck it, Bitfinex. I doubt he ever had Bitcoin in the first place.
No, he definitely did. He definitely did.
Did we meet him before in New York? Was he at an event we were at?
No, I've never met him.
Wasn't he a New York guy?
I mean, he never admitted it to me.
Yeah. I did not, believe it or not, I've been so busy this week. I haven't had time to dive into this. The Trump administration uses Signal to coordinate war plans. So apparently,
this is awesome.
Mike Waltz, who's a senator on this defense committee, I guess.
He's the head. Isn't he the head of the National Security Council?
Yeah, or whatever. He's that.
I think that's like a big deal, right?
I think so. He invited this journalist Jeffrey Goldberg from The Atlantic to private.
No, they were discussing plans for bombing Yemen. And it was like 20 people, who's who, right? Like Marco Rubio, Tulsi,
JD
Hegseth,
Vance.
like JD, all of them, like discussing war plans on Signal. And he accidentally invited the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, like the top reporter of The Atlantic, added him to the group.
How do you do that? Is that like...
So there's
very
like
convenient. It's very convenient.
I know. I don't think it's fucking boomers accidentally adding someone to a group chat is very in line with what happens to boomers. It was like, you know how people on Signal, a lot of people just do initials. Like he probably added the wrong JD.
But he added him like mid conversation, didn't he?
No. It was like he's launched the group.
Okay. Oh. And then they were just they were just making these war plans. They didn't realize the Goldberg guy.
So check this out, right? So it's a crazy world out there, right? So the reporter's like, there's no way this is real. Someone's trolling me, trying to get me to write an article about this and get mud on my face and look bad. And the reporter only realized it was real once they were like, okay, we're bombing in an hour. And then the bombs started dropping. And they're like, holy shit, this is a legit conversation.
This stinks to me. This stinks.
No, it doesn't stink. I think a lot of people are up in arms that, there's a bunch of things here. First of all, that Signal has a vulnerability. Like Signal does not have a vulnerability here. Don't add a journalist to your group chat.
That's
okay. That's
social
like
attack
Signal
vector.
Signal tries to make very reasonable trade-offs for privacy and security and user friendliness. And at some point, you just have to trust that the user is going to add the right people to a group chat. Okay, I use Signal groups all the time for tons of different organizations that I'm a part of, and I've never accidentally added the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic to my group chat. So that's the first thing, not a Signal vulnerability. The second thing is this idea that government should be communicating about these things in a way that can be tracked and audited after the fact. And I would just say that maybe per laws that should be the case. But in practice, a lot of our systems are so fucking antiquated and stuff that if they were doing that, I wouldn't be surprised if it could get like intercepted and logged and fucking used against them. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Signal is actually more secure than whatever the status quo is. So I'm personally like, whatever, I'm fine with that. Some people aren't. That's okay. The coolest part to me is that, like, yes, some of the most powerful people in the world are using Signal and disappearing messages to have private or reasonably private chats on the internet. But the cool part is that any of us can use it.
Yeah.
That we all have that power. We all have that capability, which is something that throughout humanity is very rare, that the ruling class has a capability that is shared with everyone else. And this is the power of open source software. And then the last piece I would say, which is why I found it so interesting, is like if me and the boys are running the government, like this is like we'd 100% be running it through a Signal group chat. Yeah. It's just like, it just feels like,
it's the way to do it. Yeah, I completely agree. I don't mind with them using Signal for like this type of information, like you're talking war plans, like WikiLeaks, like who knows, like have something like that. That's like a social attack vector too, I guess, where somebody like Edward Snowden or many people believe Seth's
Don't add a
rich.
reporter. Don't add a reporter to your group chat.
Yeah, the way you fix that is very limit the number of reporters that you have in your contact list. Say no to
Well, no.
join
So
us.
then, did you
the
see what
message.
broke today? So when you sign up to Venmo, it's like, do you want to upload your contact list? And you always press no, right? But it's like, do you want to upload your contact list? So this guy, Mike Waltz, pressed yes. And then he also has privacy disabled on Venmo, so his contact list is public.
What?
So the
Venmo
new
makes that
controversy
public?
is if there's a setting in there, supposedly. You should go check after. But anyway, everyone's going through his contact list, and it's just a shit ton of fucking journalists from both sides of the aisle. So he's just got a lot of journalists in his Rolodex.
Well, wasn't the Mike Waltz guy? Isn't he following like some gay porn star next to? It's I think so. Let me see. Yeah, he's following. Mike Waltz is following an account called Slim_Sexy_Trey, named Big Dick Bottom, as well. So,
but you should go read the article because I think it's a rare glimpse into how these guys are actually like thinking about war and bombing countries and shit. I think
from right, like
they're
I
probably
did catch
not the anti-war group that people think they are.
No, I heard or from what I could gather, it seemed like JD Vance had some introspection and was not as gung ho as others in the group chat about bombing.
No, JD he thought it was like bailing out Europe.
He's critical of it
because most shipping that goes through there is European and not American, even though historically, and he wanted to delay it. He wanted to delay it a month or so. But it was like crazy. Like they're like, okay, bombing's commencing, and then I'm gonna butcher the quote or whatever. But he's like setting up a prayer for victory. That's just Vance or whatever. And then like a bunch of them did like the prayer emoji responses, like shit like that, or like the bombings landed, and then I forget who, but someone like put like fist fire American flag or whatever or something like emojis. Just it's what a crazy timeline we live in.
They're warmongers. They're just like us. What sticker packs are they using? I wonder if they have like Pepe sticker packs or like AJ sticker packs.
No, it was just normal standard emojis.
Yeah.
And they doxed the CIA agent in there too, which wasn't great, but the Atlantic didn't publish it. So the Atlantic did they did redact certain pieces, which I thought was a stand-up move.
Yeah. Hey, they're just like us. Sending emojis in the group chat.
Yeah, see, Rad Vladdy's like, my phone-tard boomer wife did the same thing. And like I've been in group chats or whatever where boomer friends like accidentally post something in the group chat that thought they were posting in a individual message to their husband or something like that.
Yeah.
It's hard to make technology boomer resistant.
Yeah.
They tend to find a way to
it's too perfect.
Fuck it up. There's no shot, dude. You didn't even read the fucking article. Go read the article. This was an accident. It is fine. It is fine.
You trust
this
the
is
Atlantic?
not 4D chess. Dude, the administration didn't even deny that this group chat happened, and that they haven't said that it's fake.
Okay, all right. I didn't read. I'll read the article and make a decision. You're gonna make me.
I forget what the quote was, but it was a fucking hilarious quote. But they admitted that yes, it was a real group chat, and the angle is that the reporter should have immediately said, "Yo, I'm a reporter. Why am I in this group chat?" But like also like. Can't really blame a reporter in that situation. I would probably just sit there and be like,
I'm a fly
let's see what goes down in this thread. Yeah.
Actually, I don't know. Would you want to be a fly on the wall? Or imagine like if it was another topic. It was much more much more politically charged, or would be a much bigger drama than bombing the Houthis, which unfortunately, like, seems like a lot of people are okay with. I don't think we should be in more wars in the Middle East, but imagine for something else. If you're a reporter, there's a fly on the wall in there, like I could get you killed. They're like, oh God, Jeffrey was in the GC the whole time. We got to find him, take him out. Playing with fire there, Jeffrey. Got a story though. I'll go read it at some point. Somebody send me the PDF. I don't want to send the clicks.
I think I would stay in the group.
No. Staying in the group, staying at elevated market caps is what CoreWeave is trying to decide as they navigate their path to initial public offering. So they're testing an IPO right now, and headlines dropped this morning. It seems like they're lowering their valuation for the IPO. I believe they cut it in half, and it seems like they're having trouble raising funds to go public. I believe NVIDIA had to put in $250 million after already owning, I believe, 10% of CoreWeave. So many are speculating that this IPO will tell a lot about the actual state of AI and the demand for it and its profitability, and CoreWeave having to reduce its valuation and get a capital injection for this IPO from NVIDIA, signaling that all might not be as rosy as expected.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of bullshit in AI valuations right now.
Yeah.
It'd be like, I think a lot of people realize that it's a boom bust cycle. It just might be happening a lot quicker than most people expect. We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah,
there's a lot of incestuous contracts that are going on there.
It's like CoreWeave, NVIDIA, Microsoft, the interplay between those three, and there have been many short sellers out there saying that there's some just like revenue mixing going on, double counting, if you will, to juice the books to make it look better than it is.
Yeah, I mean, that seems like pretty obvious there is. The question is how much. I mean, and then look at this, right? Like NVIDIA already owns 5% of CoreWeave, and CoreWeave is one of their largest customers. And then they're backstopping the IPO.
Was it 5% or 10%?
I think it's 5%, but I might be wrong. Don't hold me to it. Paulie zapped us 21,000 sats. Peace is the way to prosperity.
I like that. War is strength, though. What is it? Strength is strength through war. I don't know. Yeah, I agree. Give peace a chance.
You butchered that quote. I know what you mean, though. That's from 1984, right?
Yeah. The War's Peace. I mean, that was 1984. Back to the core.
What is it? Though. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength.
Yeah. I'm sure everybody's aware of what happened yesterday on the internet. It was a great day on the internet. OpenAI released video and image generation that is far beyond.
Ghibli.
I do too.
But why did people decide Ghibli?
I think it was one of those mimetic things where
weird.
A few people did it and then it caught fire. But again, bringing this back to the CoreWeave story, very interesting that happened yesterday, right before this announcement.
Not a coincidence.
Yeah,
not a coincidence.
Imagine
you've been psyoped.
The amount of inference that was going on yesterday was probably orders of magnitude higher than any single day up to that point.
You successfully fell for the psyop.
It was fun. It's really, I mean, I made some good BitX propaganda. Did you see my BitX propaganda?
Yeah, I did.
And it makes you wonder how long they've had this behind the scenes, because the ability for it to recognize words and properly.
Yeah, text. It did text really well.
Yeah.
Anyway, freaks, don't upload your private personal photos to OpenAI.
Screenshots are okay, though. That's what I got some funny ones in.
Yeah, if they're already public, if it's already public, you're not exposing new information.
Yeah.
Also, keep in mind that if you take a picture with your phone, it has a bunch of EXIF data in there, metadata that includes location, device, time, and you want to scrub that before you upload it somewhere. A lot of ethical services will auto scrub for you. I doubt OpenAI is scrubbing EXIF data for you. They're definitely hoovering that shit up. The easiest way to do it,
You can disable an Apple, can't you?
yeah, but the easiest way to do it, just to be sure, is if you post it in Signal in your note to self and then download it from Signal, it'll be auto scrubbed. It's a very low effort way of making sure there's no metadata attached to your. But yeah, you should also go ahead and disable location data being attached to your fucking photos.
Yeah. Do that on Apple.
You can do that on Android and iPhone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like using Signal as Signal also has a nice feature that if you press when you're going to upload a photo into a Signal chat, there's a blur face feature, an automatic blur face feature that you just click it and it just blocks out all faces.
I didn't realize that. That's pretty sick.
Yeah. So you do that and then you download it again and then you have no metadata and you have no faces. Boom, done.
Boom. Boom.
But yeah, the internet, someone's asking, Diana's asking what happened. Basically, like OpenAI released a new feature that made image generation much better. Yeah. And Studio Ghibli is a fantastic anime studio that is most known for Spirited Away, but I don't think it's his best work. And it has a very specific art style. So people were posting images that were real photos that were then converted over to Ghibli style. And that took over the internet yesterday.
Yeah, and then there were videos being dropped of the head of the studio. I'm not going to try and pronounce his name right now. Speaking 10 years ago.
Hayao Miyazaki. I don't know if I pronounced that right.
Hayao Miyazaki.
Like say it again.
I did pretty good.
Say it again, Logan, so everybody can.
Hayao Miyazaki.
Hayao Miyazaki.
And it's
I think
Ghibli,
I did pretty good.
Actually, not Ghibli.
Ghibli.
Oh, whatever. Fucking shout out me.
No, he did an interview like 10 years ago where some AI researchers went to the Ghibli studio and were basically explaining to him we'd love to like create machine learning processes and be able to recreate your illustrations very quickly. And he was aghast and disgusted. And it was an interesting day because I was going crazy. I was like, this is awesome. Like, this guy's got to love it. And then like people were like, no, this guy is way against this. Like, he thinks it's an attack on humanity.
But he's an artist.
Yeah.
Yeah, he puts a lot of love and care into what he's doing, and people are.
I mean,
I don't know.
I watched like a 10-minute documentary
out there.
It took them 15 months to draw like a 4-second scene in one of the movies.
Yeah, no, look, if you include TFTC, I know we said RHR was 23 days. If you include TFTC and dispatch, we're each individually in 30 plus day territory in terms of audio. So you can make us say whatever the fuck you want to make us say. Right? Like, we're already way past the point where family members should know that audio verification is not real. We're probably kind of close to the point where video verification is also not accurate enough. Like, you have to like answer a secret question or something. But I don't think this change is going to change a lot of things in terms of what's real, what takes effort, what doesn't take effort. I was talking the other day, like vibe coding. Like, we're about to have like a shit ton of shitty applications to OpenSats of just people that are just like using Cursor, just like making a project in like 2 hours and pressing send. And then never maintaining it or not having the capability to maintain it. And that capability is only going to get more from here. So there's probably about to be a lot of shitty videos, a lot of shitty software, but there'll be cool stuff that comes out of it too. And like in the right hands, stuff that was just never even possible before. I mean, some of these Pixar movies, right, or Ghibli or however the fuck you pronounce it, like, it took like 8 years to make. Imagine you can just like 3 people can just like put it together in like a week.
Yeah. And is that art? I think case could be
I
made.
mean, I think so.
Maybe.
I think it's still art. I would say that there's some like philosophical think boy take here where it's in an age of no digital scarcity, Bitcoin being the only true digital scarcity has even more value. Something like along those lines.
Yeah, I think so. I think this is the best picture produced in the Ghibli format yesterday by our good friend Will Cole. Went a little viral. Just put it up there.
I think one of the reasons, by the way, that people really like the Ghibli stuff is it makes everyone look much nicer. There's no ugly people in any of the
My
outputs.
Ghibli,
Have you noticed that?
I look young. I got a skinny face.
Yeah, you look way nicer in that than you do in real life.
Well, then I think what like you just had up, it also like it makes like the cringe photos of politicians and stuff so comical that like it sort of like pulls out like the insanity of it and almost how would I describe this? It like disconnects like the raw human emotion from it and like caricaturizes it. Makes a caricature
really
of it.
Good.
Which makes it more real, which is like, yeah, this is kind of insane that Joe Biden's sniffing this young
Did
girl's
you
hair.
see the guy who made the entire Lord of the Rings trailer in Ghibli format?
No.
Nah, Brave New World. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So you like it's already capable of doing it with video too.
Yeah. Vibes are high. I got Ed at TFTC. He's a big vibe coder. He's listening live. He just texted me and said, I'm going to be that shitty software developer. Expect an OpenSats grant.
We're gonna reject your application, so don't waste your time.
Last but not least on the list, we have
Jokes aside, just real quick, like this vibe coding thing will really, really benefit open source software and open protocols because you can just build on them without permission. You can't vibe code an app built on top of X because you need API access and it's permissioned and costs a shit ton of money. But you have full access to the Nostr data set. You have full access to the Bitcoin data set. You don't have that with Venmo. You don't have that with Swift or whatever. So I think we're going to see, just way, way, way lower friction and lower access for people to really play around with these things and make them more powerful. So I think, strictly speaking, from an open source side and open protocol side, fucking massive, and people are really, really discounting it. I was talking to someone yesterday who said over the last 6 days he made 4 new Nostr clients. They all probably suck. But still, like, that's kind of crazy. And you could do all different little things with them, right? You can tweak them and have them do what you want them to do. And it doesn't require any permission, and it takes very little technical proficiency.
Yeah, it's almost like, are we had the last 15 years been like the Netscape era of applications, right? For what the browser wars were in the 90s, where Netscape and AOL really tried to, or maybe AOL is a better analog here.
I mean, I don't know how good this doesn't feel like a good metaphor, but continue.
I was going to say, but not like open source. Like, have we been in this sort of hyper centralized application platform layer because of the inability to build as quickly?
I just think it lowers the overhead because you don't have to be you don't have to learn how to code, really. Like, if you want to make something that's actually secure and maintained, like, yes. But like, if you're just decently technically proficient and you're good with prompts, you can make something that fucking works, and you can at least, experiment. The overhead for experimentation is lower than it's ever been, which is massive.
Really is. It really is. It's been fun. Like,
yeah, Bitcoin space too is like you have full access without permission to the Bitcoin data set, the Nostr data set, and the RHR data set.
It's pretty crazy. Is that like the data in centralized platforms? I think that's what I was trying to highlight here. Currently, far surpasses the data that exists on Nostr, let's say. And so like we're just in this period where Nostr is building up its data set, and eventually at some point it'll cross the chasm of having a rich enough data set where you can really begin to build crazy applications on top of that open source data set.
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes both ways, right? Because the data set could get fed by a lot of this stuff too. So it kind of bootstraps it as well at the same time.
Yeah. Shout out to
like you can't just build a bot on X. If you build a bot on X, it can get just deplatformed and revoked at any time. But you can build any bot you want on Nostr.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you see the Oshi integration?
No.
So Oshi every hour Oshi sends out a Nostr post that is whoever's stacked the most sats shopping at an Oshi merchant. And then it links to the merchant. And then hopefully the plan is that when you zap that, a portion of that goes to the person who just bought something at the merchant, and a portion goes to the merchant. And they were able to do that all without permission. And that is like such a basic bitch implementation, but cool. Like all of a sudden you can start compounding these things on top of each other. And I think you have some really cool possibilities that are hard to kind of comprehend.
Yeah, I'm looking for this. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Oshi, by the way, freaks, if you're not aware, is a sats back for merchant program. So like you go and you buy salt of the earth, for instance, which is the best electrolytes on the market, you get sats back for it. And Oshi powers that.
And I don't know if you caught this, but the Bitcoin brief, we implemented Oshi rewards for a referral program. If you're a reader of the Bent and the Bitcoin brief and you refer somebody, we built that with Austin from Pleb Devs a couple months ago, but hard to maintain. Why reinvent the wheel? Oshi has this implemented. So shout out to Michael for implementing that on TFTC.io.
Nice.
Yeah. You have 3 of your pieces, your long reads on Nostr here. We've already talked about one of them. You want to talk about the other 2?
Nah, the links are there if you're interested. I've been blogging on Nostr.
Blogging.
So I just threw the links in. I threw the links in the show notes if the freaks are curious.
Let me see what people are saying about Tether.
It's important. Saying? It's important that when you read the post, you should just don't actually read the post. Just take one small line out of context and then act provocatively about it.
Logan, pull this up. Oh man!
I know which one you're pulling out.
You're getting grilled, bro.
It's pretty. I mean, read the post. I think it's a really good post. Yeah, how fucked up is that? Self-banked used to be my boy too.
You can't. Yeah,
dude, you're the one feeding the trolls. Don't tell me not to feed the trolls. I didn't respond to that.
I mean, don't feed.
You're the one who pulled it up live.
I can feed your trolls. I can't feed my trolls, and you can't feed your trolls, but I can feed them.
Okay, I'll feed. So I'm supposed to feed your trolls now?
Yeah. By actively courting U.S. government support, Tether has fortified their position. This strategic move will likely cement their status as the dominant USD token for years to come. Most highlighted quote. Is that the one that's being taken out of context?
No, there's one line where I'm like, Tether is run by Bitcoiners.
Yeah.
Which it is. Anyway, it's a good post. Everyone should go read it or don't.
You should read it.
But there's a good one on Nostr security, on Nostr data availability. Who will run the relays? Protocol. Yeah.
Good. It's good to see you writing again. That's one thing for any of you relatively new freaks. Matt used to be a prolific writer back in the early days before we even started this podcast. You wrote a lot of good shit, and then you would do, what was it called? your blog. What was it called?
That was like a 2014 era blog.
No. I'm talking about, you had another one too you were doing.
Oh, discrete log.
Discrete log. Great name. It was Ghost.
Yeah, now I'm just posting to Nostr long forms.
Yeah.
Trying to test out the suite at the same time. Trying to change up how I use Nostr. I don't know. Look, I think people think I want to be the main character of Nostr. Like, that's the last thing. I want Nostr to be the standard. I think humanity will be better off for it. And then I would rather never use social media again. So that's my goal.
Should I start posting in all caps? Should I have people wanting me, believing that I want to be the main character of Nostr?
I just gave up caps for Lent. So the caps will be back. I gave up good mornings and caps for Lent. Change is good.
It is.
It's healthy.
Change is good. It's happening. A lot of Bitcoiners don't like it. I was getting, not gonna feed the trolls, but I am gonna feed the trolls.
I can feed your trolls.
I recorded with Pierre. We talked about why the Bitcoinization of finance is actually good, and a lot of people, hey, you're cucking. You're letting traditional finance co-opt Bitcoin. Did you just give up on DeFi? It's like, yeah, there's some nuance here.
Oh, someone called you out about that, right? Was it Hodl Magoo?
Yeah, that guy.
Were you on the negative end of Hodl Magoo? That was, can I feed your trolls? Hodl Magoo's great. He was right. Marty's wrong. Keep going. Go harder. Logan, pull it up.
Pull it up. Apparently I don't understand finance. No, Logan wasn't paying attention. He has no idea what we're talking about. So.
Dude, what about just a huge shout out to the Bugle Boys. I love you guys. I think people need to get their priorities in order. If like their number one controversy is like vote rigging of their like, you know, the Bugle guys are fucking loving every moment of it.
It's like,
guys, yeah. It turns out Twitter polls are not a
Sybil resistant,
scam resistant, protocol.
The how triggered people are getting about this Teddy Bitcoin guy. Oh my god!
Supposedly they're getting even more triggered behind the scenes.
Really?
And I would just say to those people, get a fucking life.
Go touch grass, people. Hey, yeah. I got matched up with Pierre Rochard in the first round. That's unfair.
Yeah, that vote wasn't rigged. You just lost that one.
Yeah, no, I voted for Pierre. I couldn't vote for myself. I like every once in a while when I get put in a poll, I'll be like, yeah, I'm gonna vote for myself. That one, I was like, no, can't do it. I have more grievance with the committee that put together the bracket. You don't see me complaining.
No, I mean, the bracket is very intentional, and they do a great job with it.
Yeah,
you're wrong on that front.
It was fun.
No one should be complaining.
You should not. If you're getting triggered by the Bugles March Madness Maxi bracket, you have mental issues and needed to go.
You have lost the plot by so far. Like, you are nowhere even near the plot. Like, what the fuck, guys?
Yeah, come on. Be better. Log off for a week. We got time. My 2:30 got pushed to 3:30, so.
Nice. It does remind me that I think it just shows that there's a strong place for Nostr Web of Trust polling, though.
Yeah, would the poll results be indexed versus based off of Web of Trust score of each individual voting?
Like, effectively, everyone would get different poll results because it would be like a personalized Web of Trust in my mind. Because I have a different Web of Trust than you have. I mean, ours are probably pretty close to overlapping, but Let's use someone that's completely different than us. Me and Elizabeth Warren have completely different webs of trust. So
that doesn't
the
solve
way
the
we
problem,
view a
though.
poll might look different.
Really?
Why? It solves a problem. It solves the problem of civil resistance and opinion of your peer group.
Yeah, but does that? I'm gonna push back here. Does that sort of reinforce the main character issue that exists, where you have subs, liberals, conservatives, whatever you want to be? They have a completely different view of the world. And
No. Okay, let me give you a use case. We want to judge what the freaks think about something specific. And so we use our web of trust to measure the results. Wouldn't that be valid? Like, why we're not like, I'm not trying to answer.
But think about like the blue sky web of trust
Opinion
people
polls
looking at
can
that
never
poll.
be fully objective. They're opinions.
No,
We're just gauging opinions.
They could objectively measure sentiment, though, of each individual voting in the poll, right?
Well, what is an individual? That's what the web of trust is trying to solve, is the civil problem of someone spinning up fucking 10,000 entities.
Yeah. Well, when you set like web of trust, like I imagine that you would basically not take into consideration each individual's web of trust. You would instead basically have like a broader web of trust score based off of like post interactions just for the whole network, and then index each response from each individual.
Yeah, you could do that as well.
Score.
That's more difficult.
Yeah.
That's more difficult. Some kind of like global verifiable reputation.
Yeah.
It's more difficult. It depends how you're weighting things, what makes a stronger reputation versus a non-stronger reputation. But the smaller micro version of this is much easier to implement, which is, it could be as simple as my friends and their friends are the only ones whose votes count.
You want to, and you want to get like, and you're curious to think about what your web of trust thinks about this. You're a bit uncertain of it. Okay, that makes sense.
Just simply, my friends, people I follow and people they follow. What do they think about this particular issue? Should we be bombing Yemen? Send poll. I want to know my friends and my friends of friends, what they think.
Yeah.
No bots, just friends and friends of friends. Without KYC, you don't have to do any of that shit. Now, if you're doing like global verifiable reputation, otherwise known as a social credit score, but in this case doesn't have a centrally planned thing, right? It's like basically a distributed permissionless social credit score, this global verifiable reputation. That's a lot messier. Like you have all these different variables, right? Like how are you weighting each individual's reputation versus other people's reputation? And there's a bunch of different quagmires you can get in there and nuances that result in different weightings for each individual.
I misunderstood.
And so that can happen too, and probably will happen. But I think the lower lift way is on the individual scale.
Yeah, and I think I misunderstood the way you were framing it originally, which is like you have a question that you want to ask, you make the poll, and then you only open it up to people in your web of trust. I was assuming we were running with the Bitcoin Bugle.
No, imagine anyone can vote on it. But the results are based from a viewer perspective. How you view it changes the results.
Okay.
Kind of cool, right?
Yeah, it was really cool.
I mean, what's going to happen is at some point, because Elon likes running these polls too, at some point he's going to have his own Teddy Bitcoin situation, and everyone's going to be like, oh, the polls are all fake or whatever. And then he's going to make it like blue checks only, which there's still bots and blue checks. And then that's where you start to see like KYC stuff come in, which is what we see on the election side with like voter ID, which is the most traditional centralized way of handling the civil problem, is to try and ID every voter. But I think Web of Trust offers some interesting options to us.
Yeah.
for certain use cases,
I mean, I like voter ID
not
laws.
the American elections.
I think they're important.
What?
Voter ID
Yeah,
laws.
no,
are
I'm
important.
not. We're not using Web of Trust for the American election.
No.
I think there's a decent argument that you need to have an ID you need to be identified by the government to vote in the government elections. One thing I would say though is I think there should be certain assurances that we're really far away from on the government side to actually protecting that data. Like if you want to live without your address being public, right now the only answer is really just not to vote, which is a pretty fucked up situation. Yeah. Like you should be able to have privacy and vote. So there's a balancing act there.
Agreed. It's really like it does feel like based off the Signal chat, the Bugle thing, AI. We're in this very exciting Nostr. We're in this very exciting time. Just very optimistic right now. It's very uncertain. But chaos is a ladder, freaks. And it feels like if there were ever a point in time where you wanted to take advantage of broad uncertainty, opportunity, and chaos, it's right now. And
embrace the chaos.
Yeah, it's fun. Yesterday was a fun day on the internet. It was one day, and who knows, maybe it was intentional to juice the CoreWeave IPO. Maybe they wanted to get people off the Signal story, but I don't care what the intention was. If it was nefarious, it was a great day on the internet. It was just fun to see all the memes being turned into Ghiblis. Did I pronounce that right, Logan? Yeah, I did. He's nodding his head. Look at this one. The White House came out with one. Holy shit. The White House is getting in on the memes. It was just a fun day. It was a fun day.
Is that of a picture, or is that... am I supposed to know this picture?
this.
Wow.
Oh man.
What a timeline.
I did make the conscious decision. I did one last Ghibli meme last night. I said I had my fun today. It's time to get back to work.
Did you see that tough student that they caught on film of the undercover ICE raid on the tough student? The university?
The Turkish girl? Was that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, what happened? Did she get like black bagged and they come with her like plain clothes?
Yeah, plain clothes, like a bunch of plain cars, just like hit her. And I guess they're going to deport her. She's on like a valid visa, obviously not an American citizen. I guess she wrote an article that was anti-Israel, and they just like scooped her up.
Yeah, not a big fan of that.
Pretty slippery slope.
What happened to the guy in California too, right?
What guy in California? It's hard to keep track of these.
The student protester, the Free Palestine guy. Deported him too. Free speech laws are not a great sign. It's hard give and take.
I mean, but there's like two elements here, right? Like, should they be deported over it? And then the second piece is like, how should that deportation process look like?
Yeah, you get black bagged.
Like, should they like send her an email and be like, you have to leave within 30 days before you like send like 6 unmarked cars and just like circle her, put her in cuffs?
Yeah.
Like, there's probably a balancing act there. If it's like an MS-13 gang member that is like armed and shit, that's like one thing. But if it's like a
student that has a legitimate gripe with
that seems like relatively nonviolent, right?
Yeah. It's not a good look. I think we said this last week, like the over-indexing on making Israel happy. It could be a big trip up for the Trump admin. So I don't like the wars. I don't like the impediment on free speech. There is this gray area with the with the immigration. But if you're here on a visa and you're exercising, like, do you have the right to free speech as a non-American in the country? I would like to think you do, but it seems like we're beginning to cross that line where you may not. It's not good.
Did you see the woman from the state? Was she from the State Department or whatever, like touring the El Salvador gulags?
Yeah, I did see that.
Who is that?
That was wasn't that Noemi? Is that Noemi?
What is she? What is she?
Is she the South Dakota rep or governor? Let me see.
She's a governor. That's just crazy.
Let me see. El Salvador.
I don't know. Like, non-American gang members should definitely be deported.
Yeah, Secretary Christy Noem, not Noemi. She's the Secretary of Department of Homeland Security.
Sending people to gulags without due process concerns me, though. We got a great deal, though. It's only $20,000 a prisoner per year. Did you see Bukele bragging about the income stream?
No, I did not.
He's like, we're profitable. It's $20K per year per prisoner that gets deported to El Salvador.
Yeah, it's tough. There's going to be some collateral damage to this immigration, getting all the illegal immigrants out. And yeah, a lot of people are going to focus on like Trump doing it in a certain way, but I think it's important to highlight that this problem exists in the first place because we had a president that opened the borders and let 20 million people just rush in. So I think collateral damage should be expected. It should be pointed out when things are done wrong, but I think that's just part of the unfortunate circumstances in the situation.
Yeah, but it is weird that we're outsourcing the gulags instead of using our own gulags, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Weird times, like I said, chaos, uncertainty.
Yeah.
I think Bitcoin succeeds in this. That's what we try to do. Let's focus on that.
Bitcoin is the answer.
It is.
There you go.
Look at this coming full circle. We knew it was going to happen. It took us a couple hours to get back to it, but we got full circle. Bitcoin and Allen Iverson are the answer. Anything else?
No, go support p2prights.org, btcpolicy.org. They're keeping us out of the gulags.
Go support them. Support your local strategic reserve too, freaks. Peace and love.